Hello everyone and welcome back to Calmlands. This is the multiplayer co-op with Nordic Farming and we've reached episode 54. We are starting in the trucks today because we have a little bit of selling to do. Nordic is going to be selling 60 of our pigs from the pig farm because they have just reproduced and they've reached the highest price, so we want to sell them, and that's going to make way for the new piglets and give us some cash back because the pigs are quite expensive to run, but yeah, it's always nice to see the profits from them. I am grabbing the pallet trailer if I can line up nicely enough because we're going to be selling some maple syrup. It's reached its best price in February and we're in March now, so it's dipped a slight bit but still good enough for us to sell. So I'm going to head up this way. We can grab all of the maple syrup and take it down to where the sell point is, and that is near our straw accessory production. So we got that loaded last time. We can check in on it and see how we're getting on. Here we go. Crikey, lots of pallets of maple syrup. I think the curtain is opening the other way, so we'll do a 180 turn and we'll line up and get the curtain open so we can get all of these loaded. Oh, pushing them out of the way. Right, here we go. I wonder if we're going to have space for all of them. There is quite a lot. We'll scoot on through and get them all picked up magically. Crikey, so I think we've reached 100%, 14,400 litres, and there's still some there to be picked up. I think that is a first, that we've completely filled up the pallet trailer, but that is good news. Right, let's have a quick scoot over to the production area and get all of this sold. Okay, so we've made it. I'm going to go around the back here because I think the unload is on this side. Crikey, look how many donuts we've got. An absolutely mad amount. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to sell those soon. And we'll inspect the straw production in a moment. Just need to find where the place to pop these maple syrup boxes is. I think it's on this side, so we'll go for here. Get them unloaded. And oh, I didn't do the curtain. That was a bit silly of me. And it turns out that it's not there, so I'm going to have to give them a shove into where we can sell them all. Quicker for me to just load and unload them into the sell point. And just the last two to give a little shove into the sell point. There we go. And I think we've made quite a lot. Let's inspect the finance page. So $91,353 from sold products. That is all of our maple syrup. And then I've just had a look at $76,800 of sold animals, and that was around 60 pigs, and I think there's actually a couple of more for Nordic still to sell. So that is pretty good, but I think we're going to be setting a maple syrup to sell automatically now because that's one less job for us to do. Now, the straw accessories is where we placed all of our straw and water last time to get this all topped up. And we have made some straw accessories. So we've got some hats and some straw bags in there, which is pretty funky. And we did actually enable another recipe, which is a different one. Yes, it is the straw crate, which is 10 straw plus water to make, I guess, a crate of the straw accessories. Unfortunately, we've filled it up completely, so we're going to have to clear that out. We've made some room, and it looks like our straw crates have spawned here, but they're not actually a product. They seemed to be just a crate, so maybe this is like some environmentally friendly crate or something. I don't think we can put the straw accessories into it. Don't know. Yeah, I don't think we can. So yeah, I think we can just make straw crates for people to buy. I guess put toys or stuff in, or maybe it's for packaging. Who knows? Well, that's quite exciting, and that's going to continue making lots of straw accessories. But we are going to be doing something else with straw today. We are going to be building a biomass heating plant because we have a whole shed, well half a shed full of straw still. And biomass heating plants are a good way to utilise straw to turn it into money. So the straw gets burnt in the biomass heating plant, makes electricity, and that gives us a revenue, which is pretty good. So I think we're going to be placing that over somewhere here near the BGA, and there's our straw shed. Another $7,200 of pig revenue as well. And one other thing that we're going to be doing today is we've got our fields, which we drilled all last time. We got all 6 fields drilled, and they have germinated, got to the first growth stage, and there's some weeds in there now. So we've got to herbicide spray them, and we've definitely got to make sure we do, because if you recall, when we last harvested South Bank field to the right of me, we didn't get round to herbiciding it, so it did have some rather long, ugly weeds in there, so we will get them cleared. And then I think the plan is, at the end of the day, if we've got time, we're going to be looking to set up grapes and olives over by the farmhouse. Seems to be a perfect spot for it. So yeah, hoping that we get through all the list of jobs we've got today so we can get on with that. So that's the pallet trailer parked up. And park the truck up, and then it's in the tractors with the Roland trailers to go and load some straw into a biomass heating plant, which we've got to build. I think we are going to grab the Deutz this time, and Nordic is in the fast track. Off he goes. We will follow his lead, grab the Roland trailer and head on over down to the BGA area. We are in sync and heading on down there. I don't think I've seen the inside of this Deutz. It is a rather nice looking machine. Right, we've followed Nordic. Can't quite keep up with him. He's in the fast track. And he's going to be placing the biomass heating plant, so we will see that appear shortly. And there it is. Biomass heating plant. And I think Nordic's going to do a little bit of landscaping, build some tracks in. And we'll be loading up the straw onto these trailers and depositing it back into where the straw goes. Now this is a pretty cool production. Here it is, the biomass power plant. And it can do wood chips. We haven't got any of those, so that's okay. But it can do straw, so it's going to convert 1,500 litres of straw into 131 units of energy. It's going to cost us $60 per month or day in our case, and do 120 cycles. But yeah, that's going to convert quite a lot of straw and bring us in quite a bit of money from the old electricity revenue. There we go, looking nice and smart. So Nordic and I are going to grab some straw bales. I can't recall how many we can get on each trailer, but we'll let Nordic go first and unload some bales. Spawning 28 bales, and Nordic is picking them up, and then he'll be unloading them. And whilst he is unloading them, we'll spawn another 28 and come along and pick them up. Another 28 spawned, and Nordic is reversing in. Let's see how he gets on, hoping that this should deposit off the back. So it is a little bit tricky to unload these, but we're going to try our best. So I'm going to come along and pick up these bales, and hopefully we can get them pudged into the biomass heating plant. Nordic is sort of manually picking them up and pushing them in there. I guess we could use a front loader and load them manually, but we're trying to keep this snappy. Don't want it taking all day long. So Nordic and I are going to try and see if we can load these by just using the auto unload feature. So I'm going to try and line up with the ramp here, and it's a bit sketchy because we're going to be clipping them through the wall, but it's the best and quickest way that we can think to do it without having to manually load them. So let's see how we get on. We'll line up here. And tell you what, I'll try and go as far back as I can. And then we'll unload and skim them across this way. And then drop them. And hopefully they're all going to go in. Yep, they are loading, most of them. But we have a pile here that is not going anywhere. Maybe they need a bit of a shunt. But what is annoying is it's probably better suited for loose straw. Okay, that one has sunk into the ground. That's a bit disturbing. It looks like it's straw bale basketball. Pick up the second load and hopefully clip them through the wall the same way. This biomass heating plant does have a slightly finicky loading zone. It's a bit tight for quite a big production. And yes, as you can see, Nordic is playing basketball with the bales. Alright, Nordic is done, so we will move into position. Do an unload. Another batch loaded in. And the last load, I think Nordic can ditch those in there for us. And that's all loaded. If we take a look at the production, we have got 1.5 million litres loaded. We can... oh, that's already activated. So that's going to process 120 cycles per month. And it's going to do 1,500 litres a batch. So that is pretty good. Right, we are all loaded, so we can head back to the yard. We'll let Nordic go first, because he's the old faster tractor in the fast track. And then it's on to spraying. Then racing Nordic back, but of course he is too fast. But I have enjoyed using the Deutz-Fahr. And we'll get the trailers parked up. And then I am in the big hardy sprayer, and we're going to do 2 of the big fields. And Nordic is going to take the little sprayer and do 2 of the little fields, and then we will swap over for the last one. We can drop that off and park up the Deutz-Fahr. There we go, shut her down, and we can jump in the hardy, which is right here. Big old beast, this thing. Very nice. And we've got 84% herbicide. I will top it up, but I don't think we're going to go through any sort of large volume of it, to be honest. Let's get the beacons on, top up, and we can get to our first field, which I think is going to be Lakeview. That is the biggest. Our herbicide is from this shed. Don't think we've got any pallets that are astray, so load in directly from the shed. Super duper. Right, let's head on over to Lakeview, and then I think after Lakeview we'll do Cowman, and then that leaves South Bank for Nordic once we swap. Now we just come back to the shed quickly because we wanted to fit GPS. That's going to come in handy on those big fields. As you can see, we've got weeds aplenty in our fields, so it's good that we are seeing to them nice and early on. We could of course use a hoe, but because we've got such big fields, a sprayer really is the best way to tackle this. So let's get unfolded, wheels stretch out and the booms extend. My oh my, mighty big this. Right, so we can get fired on. Got the see and spray, so it's only going to spray when it sees the weeds. We'll head on in. Do a headland. Yeah, we should hopefully be able to line up the GPS for some of our rows, which will be handy. Yeah, we'll start with the headland and get Lake View Field all nicely sprayed. See you when we're done. Last strip done, so we can turn off and fold up. Now that was a bit chaotic, mainly because I set the GPS and for some reason it set an offset. So when I did activate it, it decided to do a nice big wiggle turn for me and completely mess up my row. So that meant the rest of the job was pretty much a manual one, and this hardy is so big that I snagged a couple of trees and I think the rock that was on the island. So yeah, very tricky to maneuver. This bigger equipment makes the job faster, but it is quite a bit difficult, quite a bit more difficult to maneuver, especially when you've got, you know, not completely square, flat and straight fields for miles. When you've got trees and islands around to maneuver past, it does become a little bit tricky. Right, I think Nordic has tackled Hillside Field. He's now in Pig Farm Field to the right, and we are going to head on to Cowman Field. Now, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to sort out the GPS for this time. So let's head in. We can cut across this tree area here and get lined up for starting on this edge. I think I've got us lined up where we want to be. So we can turn on, and I'm going to head in and set the GPS course running. So we'll set a waypoint and hopefully we can get that configured. There we go, first waypoint, second waypoint, and then we can switch on, and hopefully that's going to give us some good rows to follow in the future. Alright, let's get the second field tackled, and then I think we'll be swapping over to the smaller sprayer. That is Cowman Field done, so we'll fold up, and I think Nordic has got on straight to the next field, so it might be that we're staying in the hardy. We will check in with him and see, but yeah, I think I made a slightly better job of that with the GPS this time. Merge through the trees here and we can start the unfold job. There we go. It's a rather long process to get it all unfolded, but it is the same again for this field. So I'll try and get the GPS lined up as best as possible after we've done the headland, or whilst we're doing the headland. So let's get switched on, beacon off, and we can get the See and Spray hard at work once more. So I'm going to get this field, our last field, done, and see you when we're finished. Just seeing off this tiny row of shame. It's not a very wide one, so must have meant that we weren't very efficient, or just doesn't marry up with how wide this sprayer is. We can switch off now and set it to fold up. Now you would have noticed at one point in this field we completely beached the hardy sprayer because the boom touched on two sides of a hill. We went into a little bit of a valley and got stuck, and I think that happened on the headland and a couple of the rows, which was a bit unfortunate. But I guess it happens when we got these big pieces of equipment and fields that are not just flat, square and straight. So yeah, I'm wondering whether the hardy is maybe a bit too big for Calmlands, or just not suited to it because it's quite hilly. But I think we're going to keep it, because yeah, we do have plans for hopefully some bigger fields in the future. Right, I think Nordic is just finishing off a few more rows on Lakeside Field. We can get the hardy back to the yard and parked up. And then we have a bit of time left this afternoon to crack on with our grape and olive yard build, which we're going to do near the farmhouse. But yeah, I look forward to getting involved in some grapes and olives. I've not actually done that yet in FS, so it'll be interesting to try it out. And because the Calm Farm bank account is looking so good, Nordic and I can afford a few thousand or hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in some grape and olives. Right, see you back at the yard. We made it back, so we can get this washed up and serviced. Pretty dirty. Beacons off, and we can shut down. It is a lovely looking machine, this thing, and it is a bit of a beast. I do like it. Right, so let's wait for Nordic to get back. Then we can get started with the grape and olive yard build. But before that, let's inspect our fields. I can see Nordic is on his way back from Lake View. But yeah, all the brown patches indicate that our fields are all nicely sprayed and the weeds have been got rid of. Now you might notice that Pig Farm Field is showing it needs ploughing. We did in fact forget to plough it before we drilled it with... Oh, I need to jog my memory what we've got in there. I think we've got canola in there, that's right. Yeah, we forgot to plough it after we harvested the corn, so we'll have to remember that next cycle. Yeah, we have our two canola fields, Lake View and Pig Farm Field, two sorghum, Hillside and Cowman, and then we've got our wheat in South Bank and Lakeside. And they are all going up through the growth stages, and now they're all successfully herbicided, which is good news. And Nordic is back from his escapades. There he is. And he's all washed, serviced and parking up. So we are both going to hop in a tractor. There we go, in the Deutz. And we're going to head over to the farmhouse and start to plan where we can put our grape and olives. I think the plan is that we're going to utilise both fields. Field 1 to the right, which is the smaller of the two. It's probably going to be where our grape or vineyard is going to be. Then the larger farmhouse field, as we've been referring to it, is probably going to be made up of two parts. We're going to assemble a small yard for keeping our olive and grape orientated equipment, and then the rest of it is going to be for the olive vines. So yeah, we're going to set about creating this space, and we'll see you when we're done. Okay, so you would have seen that we were busy building our new vineyard and olive yard. In field number 1, we have our vineyard for the grapes. And yeah, we just placed the vines. They're probably quite expensive. You would have seen we've chewed into a lot of our money, but hopefully it's going to be worth it because we have quite a lot of vines here to make lots of grapes. Now, next steps are we need to wait for the grass to grow. So probably by next time they will be ready. And then we can mulch the ground and we can then cultivate it. And then that should set the grapes off growing quite nicely. And then we'll need to spray it twice. And then it should hopefully be ready to harvest in a few months. Now, we've also placed a yard here, which is going to be specific to all of the stuff that we need for the grape and olive farming. And over in this side, we have a hella lot of olive vines. Now, it might be too much. Nordic and I might have our work cut out for ourselves. But yeah, we're hoping that we can together work through this quite nicely. So yeah, we've got a lovely olive yard and a vineyard for grapes, which is fantastic. But that is it for today. I hope you have enjoyed watching. If you have, remember to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out Nordic's channel for his perspective of today's session. And until next time on Calm Lands, we'll catch you then. Cheers all. Bye bye.